a solarized poster, or, some kind of bigger, almost like advertisement. I
Okay.
mean, I don't know how many people look at that part of the website, but you could maybe, just whatever the current plan is that we're
Yeah.
working on.
I'll just add, I think putting project information's a good decision. It's just we need to make sure that that stuff stays updated, and I'll do my best to update the things that I'm working on, but might need some help as well. I just don't want to commit to putting too much on there, and then it becomes a burden to keep it updated and that sort of thing.
Right. I will say that like Peter won't know to update it without getting feedback from SAB. And so maybe that's just, someone takes on that role of being the website liaison, and after, as things are happening, updating Peter.
Yeah, I think it's just trial and error. See what works,
Yep,
see what doesn't.
agreed.
But I think having more transparency to the public on what we're doing sounds great. And I don't know, like, is the board of trustees, are they going to be looking at this too? I think it's, however we can make it visible to the BOT as well would be a good thing. I know Alan does his updates.
I definitely want a website where I can just drive someone to the site and just say, like, here's your information. Writing long emails to describe what's going on. If someone asks me a SAP question, it obviously takes a ton of time. And so that's the point of the website, is to make it like, well, go to this page. And if you have questions after reviewing, you can then come back to us.
Another thing that could be good would be accolades. Like, what have we accomplished? Because that wouldn't have to change. I mean, hopefully it would be changing because we'd be getting more things done, but it would always be current because it would be things that we had done. I mean, it wouldn't be, anyway, I think it could be motivating to say, hey, we got, X number of people signed up for Solarize. We got X number of people on Renewable Connect. We, all of the things that we can enumerate, we could put out. And I think that actually would be really helpful for people to see. Farmers market, whatever it is,
I like that, because that would help that downtime like Garrett's talking about in between projects, where instead of having like a current project, we could say, this is the results of the last one we did. Until we, have a new project to post there or something.
I agree. I like that idea. I would add, potentially we could add a survey or something like that, just to get community feedback on a whole host of sustainability topics. I know, I think it was, I can't remember the sustainability site, maybe Wheat Ridge or one of their sites had a survey, and it was nice. Like, you could get public comment on, transportation issues or waste or recycling type stuff. So it might be a good way of getting input from the public.
And on that note, could we have a contact form too, if they want? I know there's, I think, our emails on there. Oh no, yeah, email the entire board.
There's a clickable link.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the intention actually is to do maybe some more contact forms. We try not to do too many emails on the website, just because it increases your spam, or people phishing and hacking. So, but yeah, definitely the contact form.
Because then you could have some sort of drop down, on whether they're giving feedback or they want, to propose a new initiative. You could sort of sort emails that way.
The other thing I was thinking about, I think it used to be on there, and maybe in the last update we took it off, but just like the process of projects going through the advisory boards and then getting scored under the SAB scorecard, and a link to like the PDF version of the scorecard, so people can kind of see what our rubric is and what our metrics are.
Okay.
That's more of a town process, right? So, I mean, Chris's transportation projects, that follows that process. So it's good to have it on our SAB page, but I think it belongs somewhere else as well.
The NPP,
Okay.
is that what it's called? The Netherland planning process?
Yeah. I mean, I think the NPP probably has to be updated a little bit, and I'll talk to Peter about an NPP page probably. But yeah, that's does it stand for the Netherland
Planning process.
Is that what it is? Netherland planning process. Yeah. So we have to update that a little bit anyway. So
Yeah.
we'll probably bring forward a resolution soon that enhances that. Because we now have a youth advisory board in forming or in the works that needs to be added. So if you know of any youth who want to be on an advisory board, just gonna put a plug in for that real fast. So what will happen too is when Peter builds the SAB website, he will send it out to you, kind of the not live access, but so you can see what it looks like and provide that in time, real time feedback to him as well.
Cool.
This is not the last time you can comment on this.
Yeah, and I guess also, I think right now there's still if we do move to fully remote meetings, we need to put the link there instead of, right now it still says that we're meeting in the community center conference room.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Great, thanks. Well, again, if other things come up, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Great. So next thing on the agenda is zero waste subcommittee update.
Yeah, and so Hunter's not here, so I would present on this one. We do have a standing monthly meeting with our zero waste subcommittee. Right now, that group is focused on education. And so really, Melody, I just wanted to follow up with you. I know there were some emails going back and forth between you and Hunter. So I just wanted to just pick your brain on the Net Zero program and just talk through that with you so that I can get back with them and tell them if there has already been marketing done. If not, then that team should sort of go forth and bring their ideas back to this group.
Yeah, shoot.
So is it the Net Zero so what was that Net Zero effort? Was that the SAB or was that another group of volunteers? We weren't able to find much besides a Trello board and a logo on the SAB drive.
Yeah, so I came in right about the time that they started that, and it didn't last very long. So I don't have all of the historicity on it, but generally what I understood is that we got the sustainability action plan done in 2012. And after that was done, the SAB board and the mayor at the time took that sustainability action plan and created that Excel spreadsheet out of it. And the Excel spreadsheet is also titled Netherland Sustainability Action Plan, I think, or NSAP, or, the acronym for that. And so from there, they wanted to get the public involved in doing things like having a zero waste subcommittee and taking on different projects that are in that Excel spreadsheet. And so in order to get people motivated, they created the Trello account along with the hashtag Net Zero. And so it was the really only marketing that was done was social media stuff to get people to start using it and trying to get people to log into Trello, sign up, take on an action item, or join a committee, or do something. And then we had the plastic bag ban or not ban, sorry, the plastic bag fee ordinance that was instituted. And the town at that time bought a bunch of cloth bags that had hashtag net zero on them and gave them out to town residents to use as reusable shopping bags, since we were taking away all the plastic bags.
Gotcha.
And then
Okay.
we were not pleased with the bags that were bought because they weren't really usable as shopping bags. They were more like book bags. And so I think the SAB just kind of stopped doing it. And then we got a new town this and a new town that, and staff changeover and craziness, and it just kind of died.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you for that. I've looked at the spreadsheet. I've looked at the Trello board. I forwarded the Trello board to Chris and Miranda, and I can't remember your email, but I don't think there's been much done on either the Trello board or the spreadsheet. So I don't know if those need to be resurrected and vetted to see if there's any potential projects worthwhile. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think I sent you the regular version of it, and then a new version that we had gone over as a SAB board, and like picked out things that were possible priorities for us as a board. Because some of the things that are on there are things that like Miranda's doing right now, which is trying to get communication better through the boards and from the public to the BOT. And, you know, there's some other sustainability minded things that are in there that wouldn't necessarily be our board's job to tackle. And so then I created another tab somewhere that is more like action plans that specifically would be something we might want to do. And then there's definitely some things in that spreadsheet that were looked into, and we decided they weren't going to work, like a bike library, I think, is on there. And the general consensus we got about 2 or 3 times that we tried to approach it was that no locals really needed or wanted a bike library, and so it would be more like a tourist thing. And there's not necessarily a ton of tourists that are coming up on the bus and then are going to rent a bike. And so it just seemed like more of a hassle to maintain it than have it available. But I don't necessarily want to just like say it's off the table forever just because we decided a couple times it wasn't worth it either. So I don't really know.
Okay. I think it'd be worthwhile if you don't mind, forward that updated action plan to the SAB, and perhaps we can get comments from members. I mean, we obviously have new members on the board, so it would be good to potentially get fresh eyes on this to see if something is worthwhile. How does that sound?
Yeah, I'll have to find it again.
I can look. I vaguely remember you sending me a list, but then I know you've sent me the older one too, so I can also do a search. I'll let you know if I find it.
Okay, that's what I did. I just created a new tab in the main document. So it's not a separate document. It's
Okay.
and I don't even know when the last time I went in there and updated it was, but I know I went in and tried to update what I knew maybe back in 2016 or 2017. But yeah, the Trello I talked to Chris P at one point, and this was probably also back in 2017, 2018, years ago. And he, at that time, his staff was still updating stuff that was under the park section of the Trello. And we had an intern at that time. I don't think you were here, Miranda. Peter was the intern at that time, and he was updating it when he was here, and that was his job.
Okay.
I'm not sure that it really got updated after that.
All right, I'll take a look at it. I'll send it to the SAB. And if there are things that are worthwhile, perhaps we can talk about how we might prioritize those items. So thanks, Melody. That's really it for the Zero Waste Subcommittee. Like I said, they're sort of just trying to get the lay of the land in terms of what has the SAB done in years prior. And so that's what I'm providing them. Hunter is mostly taking the lead on that. So yeah, that's it for the Zero Waste Subcommittee update. Any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something. So this just happened in this last week under the zero waste idea. Nederland Elementary School has been a Green Star school for Boulder Valley School District and Echo Cycle for the last 2 years. And we are welcoming Nederland Middle Senior High School to the Green Star family this year. And the duties of disposing, taking the compost to the transfer station has been moved to bus drivers. And I just wanted to so you guys understand, when it comes to moving the compost, the district has a vehicle that's available to do those things, but the responsibilities to be able to drive that vehicle really belong to people who are already bus drivers. So, you have to have all kinds of certifications to do that. So we have finally found a way that is no longer a volunteer program, but something that is hardwired into the transportation department. So we have a bus driver who is picking up compost at the elementary school and the high school, middle school, and taking those to the transfer station. And this is now an actual job description. And so this won't go away. And so I just wanted to update everyone on that, because the kind of work that it takes to get that done is really amazing. And I just want to put it out to Gita Carroll and Monty at the bus transfer station, that they are just working so well together and have found a long-term solution for this. So both of our schools in our community are going to be Green Star and supported by EcoCycle, and I couldn't be happier. So yeah, and so there's some progress.
That's amazing. You guys, I was on a lot of those emails in the beginning, and it was I sent some of them to Garrett, process to get through the all the red tape with the Boulder Valley School District and to try to make it happen. And of course, the person who's made the Green Star School at the elementary for the last 2 years is Liz Cooley. She is volunteer for that, and has just put her money where her mouth is, and she's out there moving compost. And so the fact that we've made this institutionalized and expanded it to these 2 pretty big places in town, it was a lot of work, and that's awesome. So that would be a great one for the website right there.
Exactly. Nice job, Liz. Thank you so much.
100% my pleasure. I am passionate about this stuff, and I'm just so happy that we've made it to the point where it is never going, it's not going to be up to volunteers anymore. So right. I'm really proud of that.
Cool.
That's awesome news. All right. Next thing on the agenda is 2018 building code feedback, and I did put it in action items in case we had any recommendations that we wanted to make, but I don't think we do. But anyway, so I think that's Miranda, and she sent us like a PDF slideshow.
Yes, so we sent out the building code, and I wasn't going to go over it in its entirety because it would probably be over an hour. We're just asking if you have feedback. This has obviously come before the board. I guess for some of you who are newer, it's come before the board a few times. The big thing in here is an energy amendment. I don't know if Garrett, if you want to go over that just briefly, but really we're just looking for your feedback tonight.
Yeah, just briefly, we are talking about new builds here. We're not talking about remodels or anything like that. And we are asking for increased insulation and fenestration requirements that essentially equal what Boulder County requires. So really, we're looking at implementing Boulder County's Build Smart program with the exception that this is just for new builds, because once you start with remodels and that sort of thing, it gets pretty pricey, and that's been sort of the feedback from the BOT is that we don't want to increase the cost for folks living in 100-plus-year-old homes, if they want to add a room. With that being said, if they add a room, they're still going to have to add the insulation that's required in the new building code. We're just not going to ask them to replace their furnace or air seal their whole house. Like those are sort of some of the Boulder County restrictions when it comes to remodels and that sort of thing. So we're just talking about new builds here.
So Garrett, I just want to thank you for putting together the summary that you did on the building codes, because I feel like that was, a lot of work and really thoughtful. And thank you for trying to break that down into things that I could understand, because when I look at the codes and these different documents, I do tend to get like overwhelmed with some of the graphs and all those things. So I appreciate the work that you put into that. My specific questions, based on the latest summary, I was curious about the costs about the fire marshal and the fire watch situation, where it seemed to be that could increase the cost of building a new home by hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm just curious if anybody knows more about what it means to have a fire watch.
It's actually not, it's Miranda. It's not actually, it's my understanding that is just a possible cost under the IRC, but it's not necessarily a common thing for the marshal to have required that. But he's not here tonight. And so what I could do is ask him to provide more information on that specific bullet point and have him email back the Sustainability Advisory Board.
Well, I would appreciate that. And then I just want to extend my support for the idea of fiber siding and the idea of installing fire sprinklers and fire suppression systems in individual homes. I think that it's just a good idea no matter what. And anything we can do to make ourselves more fire safe, I'm all about that. And then the other question that I had was, when I was looking through the summary, they were talking about like $4 per square feet added cost, or this is about siding and decking and fire suppression. With those estimates of $4 per square feet, was that an added $4 per square feet, or was that just sort of an estimate of the total cost? And encouraging people to use materials that come from recyclable materials like Trex. And then there's also that idea that there's more like a fireproof nature to these materials. Are these numbers an added cost or just the general estimate? Does anybody know that?
Those numbers are the general estimate. So they're not
Okay.
the added, it's the total, yeah.
Very good, because I think that that's bringing some of these materials in, encouraging home builders to use materials that are more sustainable and also fireproof. So I just want to add my support to those things.
Yeah, and that's actually a part of this amendment the town is seeking, is that that would be required to do so, that you would have to use an ignition resistant material, being hardy siding. And if you see in this, while basic wood homes are beautiful and we love them, the cost between a basic wood home at $4 plus a square foot, it falls in line with stucco and hardy. And I know hardy's been we're seeing that a lot lately in building code or building permits, is hardy is the way a lot of people are moving. And to your point, you have different sustainability measures and the types of materials you use and where we live, that fire component. It's nice to be able to meet two objectives with one piece of material.
Yeah, all I'd like to add is that my dad, I'm living in his home. We built it 20 years ago. It has original Trex where you can still see the milk carton labels through the plastic. And it's been up here in Nederland under these harsh sun and wind and weather conditions. And in the last 20 years, it has not changed. It has not warped.
Wow.
So, I just love that we're going to encourage recycling and this extremely durable material for building.
Yeah. Yeah, I will send that email though to Rick to get that update on the fire watch. I don't believe it's common, but I'll get that definitive answer from the fire marshal.
I had another question, and maybe you've covered this in last week's meeting, but I was surprised that there weren't any like renewable energy requirements, like solar panels, or I guess mostly solar panels, but just have some sort of requirement that homes of a certain size have that built in right off the bat.
So I don't, Garrett, I'm
Yeah,
not going to share my screen here of that page, but go ahead.
Yeah, I can share with you, and I'm not actually looking at the code. But essentially, if you're building a 3,000 to 4,000 square foot house plus, we're expecting your energy rating index to be so low that you're going to have to install renewable energy to meet that offset of their energy consumption. So it is in there. It just doesn't say you must install renewable energy, but essentially they do. Like anything under like a 40 ERI score, based on Ron Flax, who's the Boulder County building official, he says like you can't achieve that without renewable energy. So we're going to be requiring houses that, big homes to have renewable energy.
But that's great. Yeah, I read the ERI scoring, but I forgot the details. So thanks for that. That's great.
I did have a question about the fire sprinkler recommendation, because I think the last time that this came around as an update, there was a consideration about, do we have the water capabilities to actually do that? And so I'm wondering that if there was a house that was being built and they didn't have a well that could accommodate the amount of water their fire sprinkler needed to put out, like what would that look like for somebody who might have an actual issue building wise with the fire sprinkler system? Or what would it look like on town infrastructure if, say, I don't know if there's this many houses available, but 10 new houses in Big Springs were built and had a fire sprinkler. and we're pulling that water from town, would there be any issues with that?
So it's so funny. Rick was like, "Do you think I'm needed tonight?" I'm like, "Probably not." I wish I changed my mind, and so I wish that he was there. I just actually asked him if he could jump on because I don't have an answer to that. My assumption is that he would not be actively pursuing this if that was a concern, but that, of course, is just an assumption. So if he can't join us, Melody, I'll do the same thing as email him that question as well. My hope is maybe he could jump on in a little bit and we could revisit this topic and have him speak to both the fire watch and you're concerned about water access and the sprinklers.
Yeah, because I just remember briefly someone coming to our SAB meeting back the last time we updated building codes and having that specific question of like, do we really have the capability to have a bunch of houses up to here with fire sprinklers in them?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me see if he doesn't jump on before the meeting's over. I will get that answer and send it back to SAB as well.
I just saw that Dave has joined us. I was just curious if he'd like to talk a little bit about what he's interested in our meeting.
Hi, hi everyone. I'm just interested to hear all the awesome things you're doing. And Liz, I was thinking about your compost pickup and whether that is, how you involve BVSD and just thinking, how do we let the rest of the county and others know about, what a great cooperative agreement y'all were able to forge. And then just, right now interested in, the wildfire discussion has been super interesting. I would think that to some degree, in regards to a house being plumbed for sprinklers, a lot of times that to me, especially with new construction, a person's homeowner's insurance may very well dictate that in wildfire prone areas if the home is not X amount of feet from a fire hydrant, things like that. And then the other part is, in terms of wildfire hardening a home with hardy board siding and things like that, and getting in programs such as the county's wildfire partners. I think, from my understanding, that homeowners can see a break on their homeowners insurance because of those mitigation measures. And so, yeah, it may cost a few dollars more per square foot to harden the home, but that hopefully there will be not only greater resistance to a fire, but also a reduction in their homeowners insurance.
Yeah, I think that's a great motivation for people to think in a more forward direction. Thank you for joining us, Dave. Are you a builder in the area, or how do you know? What are your thoughts about these things?
Yeah, no, excuse me for not introducing myself to a lot of you. I'm Dave Hachimoji. I'm with Boulder County, and I have been overseeing our residential energy programs here at the county, namely the Energy Smart Service for a number of years, and have just been able to, not as much as I'd like, but pop into the SAB meetings over the how long has it been, Melody? A few years.
Several years. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining our meeting, Dave. And when it comes to the cooperation to get composting done at both of our schools, it's like so many times, and I think that's the importance of this board, is that it is about one-to-one conversations and personal connections, And, you know, when you can talk to people about what you really care about, you can get a lot of things done.
It as Ned has shown. So kudos to y'all.
I don't have a response from Rick, so it's highly likely I'll have to follow up via email. This is not the last time to give feedback either on the 18 building code. We're going to bring it before the board of trustees next month. So definitely welcome to send more thoughts via email. The goal is, though, to bring the ordinance before the board for review in October, ideally adopting in November, with an execution date of 1/1/2022. So it will only affect building codes pulled after the new year.
Okay, cool. If anybody has any other follow-up questions for that, should they email you, Miranda?
Yeah, that sounds good. And then I can kind of distribute it from there.
Okay. So the next thing on the agenda is a green business program, which is another one of those projects that we talked about for a really, really long time that is on the Sustainability Action Plan. So I'm excited that you're bringing this forward, Garrett.
Yeah, thanks. And really, this was a result this idea was a result that came out of the Netherland Recycling Survey that the Zero Waste Subcommittee put together and issued a few months ago. And, you know, one of the biggest opportunities that we saw from that survey in terms of responses was the opportunities to engage with the business community to really highlight and incentivize our restaurants to follow zero waste best practices. So we were sort of coming this at a zero waste angle, but you know, if we're going to do a green business program, we should include, you know, all facets of sustainability, which includes transportation, energy, and those sorts of things. So what I've been working on is developing a draft, and I'll share that with you here. This says Word. I'm not sure what it actually will share with you. All right. So can you see the document here?
I can, yes.
Great. So this was actually put together by the city of Superior. They've just launched their Green to Business program, and so I've modified it a bit to make it sort of tailored to Netherlands. This is sort of my draft, and I plan on presenting this to the NBDA. I think it's September 8th, around that time period. And so I wanted to sort of quickly go through this with you to get your thoughts. So the purpose of the Green Business Program is really reducing greenhouse gas emissions in the commercial sector. We thought we would start with restaurants. And so we want to build a movement. So we're not just, you know, saying, hey, you need to do all of these things, but really, like, we really want to showcase what they're doing. So I don't want to build a program with hundreds of, you know, requirements. I really want to make it easier or easy-ish for restaurants to participate, and we can always sort of scale up or scale down the requirements for, you know, for the years following. And so that's sort of what I'm working on now, is figuring out what is it that Netherlands businesses are already doing and what can we highlight. This program, you know, will leverage Boulder County's Partners for a Clean Environment. Boulder PACE is the team, and Matt Hannon, I've been in touch with him almost daily. He wasn't able to attend tonight, but he's planning on attending the NDDA meeting with me in September. So our timeline, again, this is just my draft, and I want input from you all. I need input from the NDDA. Ideally, this is a program built in partnership between SAB and the Nederland Downtown Development Authority. I think that's what it is. So October, November, we're sort of putting the program together, and start of the new year is when we would open up the application. That would exist on the town's website, and businesses can apply. We'd have different questions based on the requirements that we put together. And so for whatever that is, like 5 or 6 months, so the first part of next year, we do that. And then in the fall or late summer, we do some sort of recognition event where, whether it's a barbecue or, at the very least, we have stickers where folks can, businesses could put that on their window. We could put their business name on our town website. We can do an article in the Mountaineer. There's various strategies that we can come up with, but essentially that's really the purpose. We're just trying to highlight these businesses that are acting more sustainable than, and so we've got the town of Nederland doing a lot of the program structure. That's essentially me, but I'm really leaning on the SAB and the zero waste team to, come up with recognition type materials, funding type strategies, press releases, that sort of thing. PACE is really our consultant. They can team up with businesses to help them find incentives or rebates, whether it's on lighting or refrigerators or that sort of thing. That's sort of their specialty. And so that's what we're really advocating for. NDDA, I want to leverage them for outreach, get them behind this program so they can get in touch with the business community because they sort of have those communication channels. And then ideally we have champion businesses. So, where's the low hanging fruit? What businesses are already doing a great job? Let's get them on board. Let's get them talking about the green business program so that way we can, build the program. Sort of start small and then grow the program that way. And I sort of talked about these, but these would be the benefits for businesses to participate in the program. And I'm not going to go through the timeline, but there is a timeline. I'll share this with you after this meeting so you guys have it and you can provide feedback. But essentially, we're designing it this year, launching it in January. They'll apply for a few months, and then we'll do some recognition after that. So that's really what I've got to tell you. Are there any questions or feedback? I will say that it would be nice if there's folks interested in, sustainability in the commercial sector and you want to be more involved in sort of the implementation of the program, please let me know. I plan on putting together sort of an implementation team where we can meet, on a regular basis and because this is a fair bit of work, it would be nice to get, more ideas than just myself. So if you're interested in this sort of thing, please let me know and I can involve you in the coming months as this program takes shape. I expect there'll be folks from the NDDA on the team as well. So just let me know if you're interested.
Hey Garrett, I think you're really on the right track with this stuff, and I like the recognition piece and the opportunity for businesses to let the public know that they're interested in, zero waste and all those kinds of things. And what I know about being up here is that personal conversations are really important. And I personally would be willing to talk both to the BNF and also to Ace Hardware about how they would feel about these kinds of things. And I feel like those two businesses in particular are really important as far as being leaders in the community. So let's talk more about the specifics so that I can have an informed conversation with these people. Because I think that's going to be the biggest thing is, talking and making this program something that businesses can see as an advantage, not a sort of more regulation. And I feel like, because of the way that you've presented that, you really understand that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to regulate anything. I'm really just, especially for the first couple of years, let's just highlight what folks are doing, and get that recognition out there, sort of build the, I guess I don't know what you call it. But yeah, let me circle back with Boulder County. So Boulder County's got a list of requirements by sort of like commercial, like office space or restaurants. Let me see if they've got requirements for like grocery stores, and we can work from that list to see what makes sense for like BNF. And I think that would be a good first step. Does that sound good?
Yes, that sounds great. Thank you.
I'm just thinking, I don't know if she would be up for it, but I think Claudia Schaffler, who does the Tebow Plaza management, and then she also runs the shop, the clothing shop there, would be really great to see if you could get her on a subcommittee, because she works with the business owners that rent that plaza there. She's been around town for a long time. She talks to people all over the place. I think she would be a great person if we can kind of recruit her.
Okay.
And I think my other question was, for restaurants, is there anything about like where they source their food, how local their food sourcing is?
Yeah, there's a requirement. Pull it up here. I could share my screen real quick so you guys get a feel on how in depth this is.
Yeah, because I know like Crosscut will buy produce from us at the market sometimes, and they're really good about like sourcing stuff locally. And I know some of the restaurants have switched over to Roma Foods, and I've heard a lot of good things about Roma Foods and where they source from. So I'm just thinking that might be one of the things we could highlight about what some of the businesses are already doing that might not be on your radar, and it's on mine because I'm all tapped into community agriculture.
Great. Yeah, I will. If we get your input on some of these things. So what I've been doing is this spreadsheet that you're looking at here. These are the requirements for just restaurants. So the restaurants would clearly label meat and seafood items so customers can easily identify which are sustainably produced. So we just need to make that determination of whether we want to make this a requirement for the Netherland Green Business Program. And so there's a ton of these. It goes from, energy, we've got solid waste and waste diversion, transportation. So it's quite in depth, but I will say that there is one where you're sourcing your food within, I think it was like 50 miles or something like that. I would have to go through it. But what I've been doing is I've been sort of taking a first go at this and say, okay, I want to require this one for the NED program. I'm sort of waiting to talk to Matt about these to get more information. We could also recommend but not require it. So just have it in the form, but it doesn't sort of count against them if they're not using a green building certification, which is, obviously very expensive. So that's sort of the process that I'm going on in the next coming months as I sort of build this program. So I can certainly share this with you all and take a look at it. And if you feel strongly that one of these items should be in the Netherland Green Business Program, please let me know.
Awesome.
I was just going to mention that I asked Tebow for money for the elementary school a couple years ago, and Claudia facilitated that a bit. And basically, he will fund things if based on her recommendations. And so, if you need funding for, you know, what am I trying to say? There was a part of this that needed funding for sort of like a celebration of the people who were able to meet those standards. Maybe she's a person to ask about that.
Like a recognition event. Okay, cool. That sounds great. Yeah, if they could pay for a recognition event or something like that, it's great advertising for them too.
Yeah, they gave us $1,000, which was a really nice donation to the elementary school. So if they believe in it, and Claudia says it's a go, he'll pretty much do it. Some kind of donation.
Okay, cool. All right, that's it for the Green Business Program if there's no other questions. What I will say is I need to get this through the NDDA, make sure that they're on board, and then a presentation will be to the BOT for formal approval to move forward. So right now I'm just like putting the initial design together so that I can have something to show the NDDA, but I really need their support in order to propose this to the BOT.
Great. One last consideration is if there's any kind of in-house incentive the town could provide to businesses who participated in the program, like $20 off their business renewal fee, or I'm not really sure, but I'm wondering if there's some way we could incentivize them in-house that way so the funding doesn't hurt so much and we can still incentivize them.
Yeah,
That's a good
Melody,
idea.
I really agree with that. And I think that's part of the process is that I think that when we're talking to business owners, we need to ask them what they need. You know, if they're going, let's say we've got a restaurant that is totally addicted to styrofoam, we need to ask them, what do you need to move to something like tinfoil and paper? And you know, if we can get that kind of information when we're talking to businesses, I think that'll help us design the program so that it will be successful.
Exactly, Liz. Exactly, and that's sort of why this is sort of why this came out of the Zero Waste Subcommittee, is that those volunteers want to work with businesses. They want to sort of be that connection, and so this Green Business Program is sort of the framework in which they can provide that communication in a more organized fashion. So that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to connect volunteers with businesses, you know, to leverage, you know, whether it's town support or whether it's Boulder County support, and that sort of thing. All right. Well, thank you so much for all your comments.
I'm sure you've seen Rick jumped on. So if it's, I did tell him, I don't know, Rick, if you've had a chance to look at your emails, I did let him know I emailed the questions, but if we could jump back to building code, that would be superb. Rick, did you get the questions?
Yes, I did.
Do you want to speak to them?
Sure. The first one on sprinkler systems, most of these systems don't rely on the town water supply when they are actually activated. They have a storage tank in the residence. It's typically a 300-gallon tank. Give 10 minutes of water at 30 gallons a minute, which is a pretty standard calculation for most homes. And then it just gets filled off the domestic water, turned off, and then it just sits until it's needed. Does that answer the question on that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. As far as fire watch, I'm not sure where those big numbers came from. I think that's some pretty extreme views, maybe in commercial construction, where fire watch is needed 24/7 on multiple floors for an extended period. We've never required a fire watch in any kind of, in any kind of deconstruction. We have talked about it in cases where maybe on larger buildings where there's metal they need to cut with a torch or something during high fire danger days. We might require it in those cases, but it hasn't been something we've done yet. And I can't imagine the costs would come anywhere close to those numbers. I mean, you're probably talking somebody you're paying 15 or 20 bucks an hour to stand there with a fire extinguisher while work is going on, and then stick around for an hour or so after the work is over to make sure there's no embers that are going to catch, or no hidden heat or anything like that. So, and I can't imagine that going on for more than a day or two in a residential situation. Does that help?
Yeah, Rick, thank you so much for letting us know how common that is, and kind of giving us a sense of what actually happens. I just felt like the numbers that were proposed under that particular section made it nearly impossible for anyone to think about building. So thank you for kind of giving us a reality check.
Sure. And like I said, I'm not sure where those numbers came from. I think they're just some generic national numbers, but nothing that came directly from us.
Any other questions for Rick? Rick, thank you so much for jumping on. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Any other questions for him?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. It worked out fine for me.
Okay, great. So the last thing on our agenda is the climate emergency resolution.
Yeah, so this, the idea was presented by Erica. Her, Alan, and I met last week to talk about CC4CA goals, because that annual retreat is coming up in October. And part of that discussion was the IPCC report came out a few days prior. And so based on the new IPCC report, we thought it would be a good time to present a resolution that states, how catastrophic this emergency is to the BOT. So will be putting together a draft, and if folks want to help me with that draft, I can share it with you. But the plan is to present that to you all next month and then go to the BOT after that.
Yeah, today on NPR, they were talking about how there are forest fires in the, I think it's the Border Waters National Park in Minnesota. If Minnesota can have a forest fire when surrounded by water, I just can't imagine anything more urgent. So yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, as soon as I get something, I can share it with you, Liz. And if you would like to provide your input on that, I'd love to have it.
That sounds great. And then at the last meeting, we had talked about bringing up the Nederland Reservoir and having kind of a discussion about that and what that looks like for Nederland water rights. And because we didn't have Erica and Alan here, we're going to postpone that to September. But so we'll have a discussion on that. And you should all have the water rights presentation that Miranda sent us. So search your email for that one that was sent out, I think, after the last meeting. So you can look through that and kind of prepare yourselves on discussing that. Does anybody have any other items, updates, anything they want to bring up?
So I just want to let the board know that in late October, I'll be moving to Sitka, Alaska. So I had no way of anticipating this. Things have changed so much for my personal situation. I've been caring for my dad, and he's gone into a nursing home, and so I've been offered an amazing opportunity, financially and also kind of from an adventure perspective, to go to Sitka. So I just wanted the board to know that there will soon be a vacancy. And I don't know how you guys want to handle that. I'll definitely be able to participate in September, but I wanted to give the board notice. But just know that I'm going to stay active and, do as much as I can before I go.
So Liz, it's Miranda. I'm like really excited for you, although I'm sad you're leaving. But I appreciate you being a part of this board. For me, I just need it in writing, just so I can put it in the file, and I'd love to try to recruit while you're still around, so we can try to keep a full board. So if you're comfortable sending that to me, that is kind of the catalyst to get that started.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I'll do that right away.
I think there was also some other people that had applied but didn't get appointed. Can we reach out to them specifically?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we'll still have to go through the full process, but I will send emails to them specifically.
Awesome.
It sounds like such an amazing adventure. I was born in Anchorage, and so I still have family in Alaska.
Yeah, I'm it's going to be basically kind of the opposite of here. So there's 88 inches of rain and 33 inches of snow per year in Sitka. And so yeah, I'm originally from Phoenix, and then the rest of my time has been here. So I am all about sun and dry, and then now I'm going to be about clouds and wet, but I'm excited because it's just going to be so different and so amazing. And I'm hoping that my short time here on the sustainability committee in Nederland will help me, do something similar in Alaska. So thank you all for the opportunity. And I'm sorry that it lasted such a short period of time. I just thought that my dad would stay where he was for longer. I really thought I'd be taking care of him for close to 5 years, not 2. So it's kind of a shock. But this is a great opportunity for us, and we're excited.
Congratulations, Liz. That sounds great.
Well, we'll miss having you around town, and I know even before joining the SAB board that you've been active about here in Nederland, and we thank you for all your service before being on this board as well. If nobody has anything else to add, then I will adjourn the meeting at 8:16 p.m. All right. Thank you all for being here and giving your time, and we'll see you all next month.
Thanks, everyone.
Everyone.
Thanks.
Sure.
Bye.